Welcome to the Warband, a World of Warcraft podcast. My name is Swag, and the race to World First might have just entirely changed, but you know who has never changed? That's right, the one, the only Chicken. Dude, Chicken, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Dude, I'm pretty sure I only consistently change. You know what I mean?
Change diapers, dude. What's it like being a dad?
What?
I don't know, man, bro.
Yeah, I guess.
Dude, this is one of those. This is, again, I think we had one recently. This is another one of those recordings where I am deeply sleep deprived.
Oh yeah.
But you know what?
Well, it's Easter Sunday, brother.
Yeah, man. I mean, I for those who listen, I work at church and production, so today was a very, very long day, but wonderful, absolutely wonderful, amazing day, and spent some good time with family, which is icing on the cake right there. But dude, you know, back to the WoW news, man. It's been a crazy week. I can't wait to talk with you a little bit later about the Race to World First and what's been going on. Because for those who have not been following the Race to World First, it's kind of gotten crazy, and we'll talk about that soon. A lot to do with just kind of some bosses that were unexpected, and even some like kind of stuff going on with add-ons. Maybe we'll see the full nuking of it. I don't know. We'll find out soon.
Good one.
But Chicken, bro, what have you like been up to this week?
Poof. Well, I went to work. That was fun.
Yeah, but on Azeroth.
WoW?
Yeah, dude, on Azeroth.
Oh,
man.
you mean a WoW? Yeah. Obviously. Nerd. Yeah. So Tuesday. Dude, this might have been one of the first weeks that I played WoW during the week, like during like my work week, which is like Monday through Thursday.
Good, bro.
Like,
That's good.
Occasionally
That's healthy.
Friday.
Yeah, everyone needs a little WoW.
Like, dude, probably this is the first time I've played weekly or week WoW since the push for KSL last season. So it's been a while. Anyways, I jumped on, did some delves, did some stuff like that, did my, typical things of, hey, I just got a little bit of time, an hour or two before bedtime, my bedtime, not my kids.
Yeah.
They're already in bed by that point. And I'm just going to get on and play, right? So it was mostly low-key stuff during the week, but then on the weekend, I dove into some actual good content. Well, you can say delves are good content, but I digress. Yeah, I got into some M+ this week, jumped right into some +5s and 6s, just ditched everything else. Actually, that's not true. I did a 4 first, and then I jumped into a 6. Yeah, I mean, I got some thoughts on M+. It's definitely a lot different this time around, and I don't know if I'm here for it. No, I definitely am here for it. I'm nervous that it's going to get a little burnouty, if you will. And I can explain that in a little bit. But yeah, it's been a good week. I've spent like a fair amount of time playing WoW, which has been nice. Weirdly enough, I didn't do like anything this weekend. I spent like a little bit of time with family, where
Yeah.
I feel like you're the opposite. You probably did a lot this weekend and might not have had much time to play WoW.
Yeah,
but
it was
I'm sure
definitely.
you found it anyways because you're a nerd.
Dude, I love the game, bro. That's what I'm here for. That's why we got the podcast, right? I could talk about WoW forever. And yeah,
Fair.
dude, I've been in this week having fun. I started working on my shaman because our raid team cleared normal, which was I'm proud of them. Even though, okay, listen, this is embarrassing. This is kind of embarrassing, but I'm gonna say anyway. So we did our first pull on the final boss of the raid, right, or of the 3 raids, and so we pull the boss, and pretty early on, dude, I die.
Wow.
I just had too many stacks. I had too many stacks of
You're trash.
You're
trash.
I had too many stacks of the tank debuff, and we probably should have taunt swapped 10 stacks earlier. Again, it was just our first time pulling the boss. I wasn't thinking about it. I should have said something. Whatever. I died.
You live, you learn, man.
Right. I think I died when the boss was at about like 20% HP or something.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Maybe 25. Maybe no, not 25. Sorry, 25% into the boss fight. So maybe the boss had like 75% HP, right? And at that point, we had been pretty liberal with our battle reses because we kind of assumed like, hey, right, like we're just testing the waters. Like we're just testing the waters on this fight, see how it goes. Once we get a feel for it, that's when we'll make our real pulls on this boss. However, turns out on normal mode, that boss is not really that difficult. So long as your team can do, they understand clockwise and counterclockwise orders pretty well. And so I just remained on the floor for the rest of that fight as the tank, and they cleared it on that first pull, and I'm just dead. I'm just laying there, bro. That was a little embarrassing, but you know what? We got the kill. We're moving to heroic this week, so that will be great.
Oh,
and that'll be a lot of fun.
Neato.
Yeah, and that also means our Academy Nights as a guild are starting back up, and that's always really fun.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, Academy Nights are awesome because it's a great chance for players who maybe would be more nervous about raiding, who don't want to let people down, who don't want to fail, right? They don't want to fail at raiding. That's an opportunity for people to kind of get some experience in a safe environment, in an environment that's encouraging. The reason why we wait until our main team is out of normal and heroic is because a lot of that main team will then bring their characters to the Academy Night, even though they don't need anything from it, even though their characters are well out geared for that content. They'll bring their main characters just to support, just to help out, just to help push people up a little bit higher. And also some of those guys will still come back and use it to gear an alt or something. So it's a pretty cool thing that we do. I'm excited for that. So this week I was gearing up my shaman a little bit, just getting her ready for Academy Nights, because I would like to bring a different character for that and get some gear. And also I still enjoy healing. Like I've still enjoyed healing, so I want to kind of have that character on the back burner and geared enough to do some like low keys. So when friends are like, "Oh, hey, we have this +8. Can you come heal it?" or +10? Yeah, sure enough, I can come do that.
Yeah, I can do that. I'm a good guy.
Yeah. I have been, speaking of keys, I've been pushing keys this week on my DK a bit. Nothing crazy. My original plan going into this week was like, I was going to try and make it to the podcast recording tonight, having got all my portals. But I got a little stuck on that.
Gosh.
I'm on the journey. I'm on the journey to it, but I haven't ended up being a little busier with work than I estimated I would have been, which is fine. It was a great week. And so ended up just like not being able to push that like I thought I would. But even still, it was a great week doing keys.
Oh no.
I'm looking forward.
You haven't gotten your portals yet.
Well, I haven't gotten all of my portals yet, but I'm looking forward to...
Oh my gosh.
I'm looking forward to Vault. It's going to be a good Vault this week, which will be a lot of fun. I felt really dumb because I didn't realize that you could start getting the catalyst charges even before you had your 4-piece. So I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh, I only have my 2.
Oh my goodness,
I'm like,
dude.
I only have my 2-piece. I only have the 2-piece tier set. And somebody's like, don't you have like charges? I was like, no, I don't have the 4 set yet. And they're like, no, you probably... I go to the catalyst. I have like 3 charges in my bag. I'm like, whoops, maybe. So
we're like, oh my goodness.
That was a very pleasant surprise. The last thing this week I'll bring up, because this was cool. At least for me, it was very cool. Maybe for other people, it's weird. Honestly, actually, there was a level to which it was uncomfortable for me. So maybe it was weird for me too. But I was playing WoW last night, right? I was just gaming. I was running a delve, actually. Okay, for our listeners. I was on my shaman. I figured it'd probably be a good idea to do a bountiful delve on my shaman. I got a nice 250 staff, so I was happy about that. Again, my shaman's like 200 eye level, right? So I was like, a 250 staff was actually pretty good.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Swag doing delves.
Yeah. Also, I think they changed Valera around a bit. Because weeks ago when I was healing a delve, it was miserable, and I swapped to DPS, and it was easy. And then for this one, I tried healing again, and it was like so freaking easy. I actually went from DPS to healing. And I just sat there and spammed Valera, and she was pumping damage. So there had to have been some changes. However, that's not the story I'm telling. The story I'm telling is I'm in this delve, right? I work on this delve, and I get a whisper from a friend of mine in WoW, somebody who I actually haven't chatted with in a little while. He's in our guild. He's been in our guild since maybe as long as I've been in the guild, since the Shadowlands days at least. He's been around.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. And so, but he's on and off when he plays WoW. He takes extended breaks every once in a while. So I see a whisper come through from him. I was like, oh, I wonder what's up. I wonder what he's whispering me about. And so I open it up, and he's like, yo, dude, I'm watching this streamer on Twitch, and she's like just getting into World of Warcraft, and her guild is like starting their first ever like raid this week. And so they need to like research how to raid, how to handle mechanics, and like learn all this stuff. And so I'm just watching the streamer in the background, and all of a sudden I hear like your voice come in, teaching raid mechanics. I'm like, yo, what? Because
Whose
you know,
voice?
my voice,
Oh,
right? Because I listen, I'm behind. I should make more. I actually have some videos in the editor right now that I'm wrapping up. Probably tomorrow while I'm off work, I'll finish them and get them uploaded. But I used to make a lot of guide videos on YouTube, not guides that were specific, but guides that were more generalized, right? Like how to raid, how to do M+, right? Not the like how to do this specific boss, but more general.
how to
right?
eat a sandwich.
That's something I love, right? And we still get people do this. So I look up the streamer real quick, and I open up the stream, and sure enough, there she is, sitting there, taking notes, watching my video. And it was cool. It's just fun. Like there's those moments are really cool as somebody who has created content for years. Because I've never, I was pretty big on TikTok for a bit for Minecraft content, and that was cool. But like most of the stuff I make nowadays is just kind of like, you know, I do a lot of what I do because I love it. I really like creating it, and it's fun to do that. And I've been busy, so I haven't been able to do it like I once did. But you know, if I really wanted to be like mega successful, I wouldn't be doing WoW content, right? Like I know I could get hyper successful again doing like Minecraft stuff, but I just, you know, that doesn't bring me the joy that WoW content does. I love this community. I love making the content. I love this podcast, right? Like this is the kind of stuff that I just get so excited about. And it was just so heartwarming. Just so heartwarming to like pop into this stream. And I even double checked with him. I was like, hey, was this organic, or like did you suggest to me to do this? And he's like, dude, I opened up the stream with her already watching it. He's like, I opened up and she was already, because that's always in the back of your mind of like, okay, were they really for real watching it?
Yeah, right.
Or
like,
did he just say, or was she like, hey, anybody know any good videos? And he was like, oh, go watch Swag.
He's like,
right?
oh, I do. Yeah, right.
And so I just popped in. I left a comment, and she's like, wait, is that the same one? Is that the same person as the video I'm watching? And so it was cool. It's just, you know, doing content creation. It's cool having those moments of connecting. And I don't know. It's just very encouraging. It's very encouraging that I've been able to help make content that has helped people get into WoW, to join in this game that I love, this community and this world, right? Like we often call it a game, but WoW is such a world, right? You know, as a kid, right, playing WoW, and even in college playing WoW, that it was this escape. Like it, you know, like I had school and I would go home, but then I also had World of Warcraft. I had Azeroth, right? I was this adventurer in Azeroth, and now being able to help others kind of experience that and explore that, to me, is really cool. And honestly, it was super encouraging because I am, you know, currently working on getting new content up and running on my YouTube channel that, I mean, you know, because of, you know, getting married, I took a break from, and it was encouraging because there's a part of me like, will people care if I start uploading again, right? Like, would anyone even care? And yeah, dude, that was hyper encouraging this week. So that's been my week. It's been a good week, dude. I got no complaints.
No complaints. So
Well,
what did you actually do in WoW? Did you say? Oh yeah, you did. You said you almost got all the portals.
well,
Sorry,
no. I was working towards all the portals. I did not get all the portals.
Right? Yeah, same diff.
Not almost. Not even almost. I actually
Well,
had a few.
Dude, you
I
made
had a
it
few
seem
rough
like
tens.
you.
I had a few rough tens.
Bruh.
Well, I'm closer to all the portals than you are. We could say that.
Well, duh.
Yeah.
No
yeah.
offense,
I have one.
dude. Oh, okay. Come on, brother.
I have one.
Come on, brother.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yes,
This.
I think I've
guy.
run like a good handful of tens. I've just had some weird groups. The problem is like there are times you run and you're like, ooh, I'm a little rough. I'm holding the group back. But I've had like 4 runs this week on tens where I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'm not the problem. I'm not the problem right now, right? Like like I'm tanking. The pools are good, right? Like even like the damage going out from the group pool isn't really too crazy, but like just watching people just not do mechanics. And then sometimes, and by the way, to be fair, I'm mostly signing up for the relaxed groups. I just find the vibes are better. I just like the vibes, you know. Right now, especially trying to do tens, I don't want anybody yelling at me about whatever, right?
My goodness.
I'm just there for the vibes. I had one group we hopped in that I think it took us an hour to do the dungeon, and really we just got stuck on every boss, and I'd have to stop and like explain how the fight works, and we got stuck on it was Windrunner Spire. We got stuck on the council boss, like the witch in the patchwork thing, the abomination, right? We got stuck on that fight.
Yes.
And eventually the healer's just complaining because the healer was like, this is too much. I can't heal this. This is like way too much damage going out. I can't do this, guys. And like you just know when someone sounds like they're defeated. And in that moment, I'm like, hey, man, not you, bro. You're not doing anything wrong. I mean, could their healing have been better? Yes. It could have been a little bit better.
Like,
right? But even if their healing was a little bit better, I'm standing there watching the DPS get wailed on by the ads that were spawning. Like, they just weren't moving. They're just standing there, and the ads are just wailing on them. They're messing up on the hook mechanic, so the AoE isn't being interrupted. So like the wipes we had really truly were not due to a lack of healer capability. They were really due to a lack of mechanical awareness from the team as a whole. I think we even had like one pool where like we almost got it down, but then but no one was DPSing the abomination, so we like killed the witch, but the A-bomb still had like I think like 12% HP. And after a while, dude, that guy is rough on tanks. Like he will just like ruin your tank when he enrages.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And I was like, guys, come on, please.
You're like,
please. How do we get here? But you know what though? There's something I personally love. And again, I think it goes back to that conversation we just had about YouTube and guides and whatnot. Man, there's something like in that moment, I just love being able to encourage those gamers. I love being able to just say, hey, you guys are doing great. Like, sure, we've wiped 4 times on this boss. That's fine. 5th time's a charm.
That's life.
We're going to do it, right? Like, we're going to win. There is something that's just so awesome. Right? I could complain. Dude, I could vent. I could get angry. I could yell and be like, what are you doing? Come on. I have better things to do. We need to finish this. I just need the chance at loot, right? Whatever.
Yeah, cool. Oh yeah.
Right, but at that point, why are you even playing the game? Like, clearly you don't enjoy the game, right? At that point, I think you like the idea of getting the loot, but you don't like the game. And I could not fathom trying to discourage someone else from playing the game I love. I just couldn't, right? Like, I could not fathom, as I, just seconds ago told them that they shouldn't even play the game. But that's different. My argument there is that it doesn't seem like you like the game, right? But I could not go to somebody who's struggling a little bit in a dungeon or a raid or whatever and try and trash talk them out of the game, right? Like, there's just so much more fun to encourage that player, to like lift them up and be like, nah, dude, you got this, right? Like, hype them up, right? Like, hype them up and get them excited, because that's going to be memories that they retain, right? Their memories of Midnight are going to be like that dude. I promise, man. I promise that healer is going to have memories of Midnight that are more positive, because he'll look back and be like, oh, I remember that time I was so scared and struggling in a dungeon, and that tank in our group just like told me I was doing great, and like proceeded to like explain to the group that they were causing extra damage to go out that was making it too difficult, and it wasn't a healing issue, right? Like that he explained to me that oftentimes, right, like mechanical issues mask themselves as a healer issue even when they're not truly a healer issue. Right? Like he's gonna remember that like he was hyped up, right? In the moment when he felt despair, he felt embarrassed, he felt like he was letting everybody down, that the team turned around and actually encouraged him and hyped him up. Those are going to be the memories that they carry with them, and shape the way they view this game. Will they love or hate WoW is totally dependent upon the players, not Blizzard. It has nothing, whether you like or dislike WoW, truly, I promise, has almost nothing to do with Blizzard, unless you're trying to play the game at like the utmost min-max level possible. But for 99% of the player base, whether you like the game or not, I think is entirely based upon your experiences with players.
Oh, yeah. I don't disagree. I think the way you interpret different things, yeah, because like a dungeon like that, when it's obviously like a DPS issue and not, and like even like fishing like that, like is almost like, hey, like I'm fishing to see if someone will say it, because I mean that healer had to know, like I would assume they knew that, yeah, something's just weird here. Like,
no, I think he
on?
genuinely, I think he was actually about to step out and just say, hey guys,
oh really?
I can't do this. Yeah, I think he was about to just like quit, right? Not quit the game, but just quit that dungeon.
Yeah.
Like, when someone's trying to soft prod and be like, hey guys, what's really going on? No, he truly thought that he was holding the group back.
Like
Yeah, he believed he was the problem.
Dang.
And again, could his healing have been better? A little bit, yeah, sure, right? And my tank damage could have been better, right? Like my pools could have been better, right? Like there's always room for improvement. But what was really wiping us was not his healing, right? Like that wasn't really. Could we have brought in like a Giga Chad healer that could have smoothed over the mistakes of our team? Sure, but our team was making a lot of mistakes, right? But they were all learning, right? And I'm not going to trash them for making those mistakes because they were learning. They didn't know, right? Like, now, Grant, was it a +10? Should they have known? Probably. But also, keys are easy to push right now. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
I feel bad for people like that, because I think they genuinely do like the game, and it feels like they are just not as good at it, even though they are, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. People, I don't want to say it's other people, but sometimes people are the worst.
Oh yeah. But also, they can be the best, right? And like, and as players, and that's why I want to encourage, even, I feel like there's a degree to which you and we take a little bit of ownership even over the players who listen to our podcast.
A little bit,
right? We are a voice into a community of WoW players, right? Whether they're in our Discord or they just listen on their way to work, or this is your first episode you've ever listened to and you want to check it out, right? At the end of the day, Chicken, you and I have the opportunity to speak into the thoughts and general perspectives of our listeners. And I want to encourage you, if you're listening to the podcast, right, like constantly just be thinking, what can I do to like help create the best experience on Azeroth possible, right? Sure, you could be a hero for the NPCs. You can be the champion for Eretor. I don't care, right? Like, how can you be the hero though for the other players, right? Like how can you be a champion for the players of WoW, not just the NPCs of WoW? Maybe
I agree.
A little life lesson there, but kind of the shift gears, because there's actually some like crazy news, and we have a lot of questions we're going to try and get through today too. So we want to save some time, but I want to shift gears. Have you been? I think you'll find this conversation interesting. Have you been tracking the Race to World First at all?
I was, and then I stopped.
Yes,
because I was like, this is kind of
doo-doo, right?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to say it. You said it, so
yeah. So the Race to World First this season kind of sucked, and then it didn't.
Yeah,
and then it didn't, dude. It's gotten so intense. In the last, I don't even want to say 20. We'll say 24 hours. In the last 24 hours, things have gotten insane. So I kind of want to explain what's been going on, right? So
I'm ready.
Kind of lay the groundwork for people who don't pay attention to Race World First. I'm gonna give you all the info you need so you can feel like you are a part of it, right? So basically, you have traditionally in the Race World First all these top guilds competing. Guilds like Liquid, Echo, Method, right? And many more who are competing. And normally what happens, you get to the end of the Race to World first, and like one guild is like clearly very far ahead, or Liquid and Echo are kind of somewhat close in the lead, and everyone else is pretty far behind. What's happened this tier, though, is this tier started off in the really weird place where because of the staggered releases of the raids themselves, the actual content wasn't super exciting because there's too much time spent doing what are called splits, where you're not really progressing on fights. You're just doing the fights you've already done over and over and over again to try and get gear onto characters. And you might be thinking, well, how do you split Mythic Raid when you get locked out to it? Because these guys have 15 to 20 alts of the exact same spec, and they run all of them. They run all of them through all these fights, and then whichever one gets the best gear, that's when that goes, right? And so what they'll do is they'll be like, hey, we're going to put our mage, this fire mage needs some gear. We're going to put him in this group with 10 other mages, and they're just going to funnel. They're just going to funnel whatever gear.
And they just funnel it through,
right? Over to that mage, which I don't fully understand. There's a little bit of question I have in my head of like, because sometimes loot lockout occurs with stuff that is an upgrade for you, but maybe that's only for personal loot. I don't know. That might be a personal loot only thing. Anyways,
I have no idea.
With that said, though, they funnel gear. The other problem that occurred is that the fights were really easy. The raid fights this tier were omega easy, which as a raider, kind of feel good because I'm not a Race to World first player, so it gives me kind of hope that maybe I can do a couple mythic fights and that'll be really fun. But when you're watching, it's not really fun to watch these fights where they're just plowing through them, because you want to see that tension of like, oh, so-and-so's catching up. Oh, this guild figured out a strategy that no other guild figured out. Now they've taken the lead, right? Like that can be really cool content. Hasn't really existed here, right? So they kind of blasted through this raid, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, we have a week. We have to wait until the next raid, the last two bosses open up, and then they just kind of did splits, right? And that's when everybody stopped paying attention, because like, dude, what the heck even is this raid? This is stupid. This content sucks. Like, obviously Blizzard was not designing raid this tier around Race to World first. Well, I don't know if Blizzard was like, oh, dang, dude, people hate this. We got to rethink things, or if this was the strategy from the beginning. I don't know. But all of a sudden, this week opens up, and we have the last two bosses. Guilds really had no trouble with the bird, Bellareth, the
bird.
Not Bellameth. Bellameth is like the city, but wherever the bird was, right? They really didn't have.
I'm just gonna refer to them always as the bird.
The bird. I think it's like two birds that actually.
The bird.
Yeah, but anyways, that's not the point. That's not the point, right? So then they move on though, right? To the final boss, right? To Elura the Naru, right? That was taken out of Illyria, which, by the way, I believe that's the exact same Naru that we fight in Seed of the Triumvirate. In case you're doing that dungeon on M+, that's the lore connection to where we're at in the story at the moment. So
nice.
That boss, giga difficult, dude. Like wildly difficult. But what's happened is, because all these guilds had time this week to catch up, everybody's kind of on this boss together, right? Like Echo's on it, Liquid's on it, and I think Method's on it, right? Like everybody's trying to prog this boss, and they're pushing, and today, right, they've been inching out percentage on this boss. This is a really difficult fight. Like compared to every other fight, this one is really, 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 really difficult. And they're finally inching through. They get the boss to like 1.5%, right? They're pulling. And Liquid finally gets the kill on Luura. Like, gets the kill on the boss. But the fight doesn't stop. The boss resurrects. It's a secret phase. There's another phase of the fight that they had no clue even existed, right? And you just watch them all pause. Because you can just tell. You can tell the moment that boss got to 0, they were like, they'd already kind of started to celebrate, and they had to like lock back in because they have no clue. They have no clue, right? Like all these like little Shah-looking NPCs start like scurrying out from the boss, and they're trying to dodge them. They don't even know what's happening. Like they just don't know what these mechanics are.
Crap.
Right? maybe it's an Easter specific mechanic, right? Maybe the resurrection only happens today, and then after today, right, the boss works as normal. We don't know. All we know, though, is that this boss did pull a Jesus Christ in the middle of this fight. And it's not over, dude. It's not over. The fight's still going on. As of now, Echo has gone to bed, I think, like an hour ago. They're hoping they can wake up in the morning for them. And Liquid still won't have the boss down, and they can maybe yoink their strategy and get the boss down quickly. Right now, Liquid is kind of trying to figure out the mechanics and how this works and how to beat this boss. But, it went from this, like, super uninteresting Race to World First, probably, like, what might be considered, like, the most, like, uninteresting, maybe the worst modern Race to World First, has, like, turned into maybe the best Race to World First we've ever had. It's gotten crazy, dude. And so, yeah, that's where we're at now. The
plan.
It could have been, but as of right now, there is no declared winner on the Race to World First yet, and so we will see what happens. Now, by the time this podcast comes out, I imagine somebody will have won.
You think? You think it in the next 12 hours?
Oh yeah, you're right. Not even 12 hours. I guess the podcast comes out at 4 a.m. So maybe nobody will have won by then. But but by the time people listen to the podcast, there's a good chance. That
that's fair. Yeah,
this could already be down. But
yes,
exciting content. I love that kind of stuff. By the way, part of the reason why that gets me excited, you may be like, "Well, Swag, why do you care what they're doing?" I think there's times where it's exciting watching what people do who are like so much more talented and skilled than you are at something you're interested in, right? It's like why my dad loves watching football, right? Like, because he watches them, he's like, wow, look how crazy talented these guys are and the competition that exists.
How good they are.
Right? I Race World First is similar to me, but also it brings a lot of eyes onto WoW, right? Like, WoW is this multifaceted game, right? And there's a lot of eyes on the housing side of WoW right now, but also like the competitive side of WoW, the like gameplay, the combat design of WoW. There is no, I hate it, like there's no MMO that does it like WoW does it, right? And it's pretty sick. So I've been hyped about that. That's been really cool. The other thing though that's related to this, I know I've been yapping a lot. but
that's what you do,
dude,
brother.
I'm sleep deprived, and I just slammed an energy drink right before recording this. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Shout out to our sponsor. And so, anyways,
okay.
Yeah. We're not no sponsor, but your name could be there if you want it to be.
Okay, this guy.
But what's also really interesting, and I want to ask your opinion on it. This is kind of where I want to get some thought going on, is add-ons. So add-ons have been really interesting in the Race to World First. We talked about it a bit last week, so I'm not going to rehash that too much. But essentially, a lot of these Race to World First guilds, especially guilds like Echo and Liquid, really have pretty much had add-ons do anything they need them to do or want them to do during this fight, right? Like, they have the brain power to code and produce these add-ons that are above and beyond what normal people are doing, which is really cool, right? Like, even still just running weak ores as is. With that said, though, we have been seeing Blizzard kind of like do a little back and forth dance with them, where there have been moments where Blizzard's like, okay, wait, no, that's not going to work anymore, right? Like, and they just kind of like nuke it real fast. But my question to you, if you remember a while back when we had Capo on the podcast, right? And we were chatting with Capo, and I asked him the question at the time of like, dude, do you think Blizzard will just completely, like, do you think the only answer is that Blizzard just makes add-ons not work at all when you're in combat, right? Like, once you enter combat, the game just does not run any add-on at all, right? Yeah. Which I know people don't like to hear that, because then that means you can't use your UI add-on, right? Like, and they're like, what about my UI? But the reason why I had asked that question was because at the time, people were already finding ways to mark mobs in dungeons as priority or not, based upon whether they had mana, right? Like, they were finding like any reason to pull the data they wanted, even if that data was no longer like available in the same format it once was. They were still finding ways to pull the data. And I was like, dude, if that's what they're gonna do, is the only answer really that just you can't use add-ons once you're like, is that the answer? And so what I want to ask you, Chicken, kind of thinking about that same context, now that we've seen where Race to World First is at, do you think Blizzard in the future will just nuke add-ons entirely? Just, hey, when you enter combat, add-ons won't work. Or do you think we'll see Blizzard just step back and go, well, we tried. We tried our hardest to, like, not let this happen, and it still happened. Whatever. Like, the floodgates are back open. You know, the War Within and pre-era add-ons.
Sure. Yeah, so my 2 cents on this. One, to be honest, I don't know what they'll do. I think it could go either way, but I think you'll see if they do say, hey, we're going to nuke add-ons during combat. Like, it's just going to be a this and that kind of thing. Like, I feel like they're always going to have to just be like, okay, like, we did this, and then, the top 100 guilds and, like, all these people are just going to say, okay, well, we're going to try this instead. And then, Blizzard's going to be like, okay, well, that's fine for now. But then, like, 2 weeks later, it's like, okay, now you're not allowed to do that now. It's just going to go back and forth. I think, without getting too political, it's kind of like one of those things of, like, too big to fail almost, right? Like these guilds that put on these giant events and, like, these Race to World First guilds are, like, almost too big to fail. Like, they'll find a way to make the game how they want to play it almost, right? So,
well, yeah, right. Because again, when your budget, right, your paychecks are dependent upon you being successful, and winning, right? Like, there's no way you're not going to do everything. And from what I understand, both Liquid and Echo were reaching out to Blizzard constantly, being like, hey, we're gonna do this. Like, we're just telling you we're gonna do this, right?
And they were just like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, okay,
right? And part of me wonders if it's like hey, Blizzard, we're gonna do this. Is this allowed? Or if it was like, hey, Blizzard, we're gonna do this. If you don't want us to, you gotta get rid of that functionality, right?
Yeah, I hope it wasn't that.
But then that
kind of crappy.
Yeah, but then that kind of answers, right? Like, it raises another question of, like, is that fun, right? Because we have this question of, are add-ons fun, right? And I could go either way. On one hand, I'm like, yeah, dude, I freaking love add-ons, and on the other hand, I'm like,
yeah,
but maybe the game would be better just without them, right? There's kind of that weird back and forth. But then when you throw this wrench into the problem of this, like, dance back and forth, do I like are add-ons fun when they have to be constantly reinvented to try and get around Blizzard's, like, blacklisting of mechanics, right? Like, is it fun if, like, add-ons have to progressively constantly become more and more and more complicated in their use? Right? Like, I don't know, right? That raises the question, right? Like, I don't know, right? Like, and so that's why I ask, like, it almost feels like they're at the point right now where they have to choose one or the other. And if they try to live in that middle ground, it just becomes ugly. Like, that middle ground is ugly, if that makes sense.
No, I don't disagree. I just feel like it's going to be hard for them to completely get rid of them without there being some kind of, well, we're still going to do this, and it's just going to keep.
Yeah,
there's
that's what I'm
always
saying.
Like,
unless
right?
you just disable them in combat, right?
Yeah, but then, like, they're gonna come up with something. Like,
no.
I guarantee you.
Well, the thing is, here's where it gets interesting, right? So if they said, hey, add-ons are just disabled entirely in combat, like, because how WoW works right now is it, like, runs add-ons, right? Like, it knows what the add-ons are. And runs those, right?
I know.
So it could disable
I
it.
understand.
So if these guilds or anybody used any programs or whatever to give them an assist that weren't add-ons, that's bannable, right? That's a bannable, like, even still currently, that's a bannable offense.
Oh, I agree.
Right? So, like, at that point, if Blizzard said, hey, during combat, add-ons don't work at all, and then you're watching the Race to World First, and Liquid whips out their specially designed super add-on that still seems to work, boom. nuke the guild, right? Like,
yeah, but that's where the too big to fail kind of comes in. like that, like I said, without getting too political, like that's 100% where they bring in the, well, we're too big to fail, and I don't know if they are. I truly don't.
I don't think Liquid views himself that way though, right?
What'd you say?
I don't think Liquid even views himself that way. And we've seen in the past where like Blizzard has like nuked these guilds, like, and again, it doesn't have to be like, hey, you guys are all banned from the game forever. It could be as simple as like, hey, you guys just got banned for a week. Well, now you can't. Now there's no chance of completing Race to World First, right? Like you're not even coming in second place or third place, right? Like you guys are out for the week. Oh, you already paid for like the host, like the space to like run the event, right? I don't think Liquid would even take the risk, or Echo would even take the risk of doing this, right? And so I think
I just don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the too big to fail mentality. I mean, if they all do it, what are they going to do? Ban all of them?
Yeah. Low-key, I almost wonder if these guilds would prefer that add-ons were just nuked altogether, right? And then they could just go in.
No, stop.
Well, no, because then they don't
want them.
Well, no, because then they don't have to play that game anymore. They don't have to play the like, oh, can I get away with this or not get away with this? It's just like, okay, we go in and it's just raw.
I get that, but they like, that's like a imagine like that's like the NBA playing on like 7-foot rims. Like, yeah, like that's cool, but like all these guys for years have practiced with 10-foot rims, and now like you're just suddenly like, no, never mind. It might be easier and it might be more like commonality.
I actually would say it's probably a little harder. It's probably a little harder.
Well, and you know, at the end of the day, right? That is the truth, right?
Yeah. I think the better answer would probably be, it'd be like the if we're gonna use sports references, which I'm terrible at, right?
Oh my gosh.
It'd be like if it was like the MLB, right? And for the last like decade, they were using metal bats, and then they finally had to go back to like wooden bats, right? Or they were like allowed to use corked bats for a while, and then corked bats were finally banned.
Sure.
Right? That's what it's more like, right? It's more like, hey, you guys had these tools, or like you had the money to afford or pay for these like assists that you no longer, right? Because also though, it's not a great feeling. Can I be honest? It's not a great feeling as WoW players to watch the Race to World First and be like, oh yeah, part of their advantage is that they have the budget to pay programmers, right? It's one thing to me. It's one thing to be like, yo, we're gonna rally a bunch of players to do splits with us, and we'll give them gold in exchange for the loot that drops. That's one thing, because it's mostly internal within the game, besides them having to pay for a ton of WoW tokens, right? It mostly exists within WoW, right? And this is idea of adventures coming together, and it's very RPG, right? But there's something different about like, oh, not only are we, which by the way, I think this is technically like against some rules, but whatever. Not only are we like doing the splits, but also we just straight up have a guy on payroll who like can program things for us that no other player has. Because at that point, it's no longer like, yo, who are the best players? It's like, yo, who are the players that have the budget to give them an advantage? And that can feel a little weird.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, and it's kind of like what you just said. Like you literally just said, well, this might go against like the TOS. And it's like that's why I'm like, is it too big to fail? Like I have no idea. Personally, I don't think they're going to nuke add-ons, because like I truly do think they might be too big to fail. But I don't think they want to. I just don't think Blizzard wants to press those buttons, right? Like 100% all these guilds could stop playing WoW tomorrow and WoW would still succeed, right? Like they'd take a hit, right? But they would still succeed.
Yeah.
Now, these people that leave the game, obviously they're probably going to go hit or miss. You know, they might go play something else and they probably won't succeed as much, but you know, that's a hit or miss thing.
Yeah.
But it again, it's one of those things of, you know, is it worth the risk to take, where right now it kind of seems like they're kind of like in this weird, like, you know, we'll shake hands on Sunday kind of deal when we're, you know, friends, but then
Yeah.
Monday, we're going back to,
Yeah.
back to hating each other,
Yeah,
right?
my gut tells me, just from what I observe, my gut tells me the Race to World First guilds, the guilds themselves probably wouldn't care if add-ons were just nuked across the board, right? They probably be like, okay, cool, that's what we do. We don't now that's a
Yeah.
whole area we just don't have to worry about, right? Like we just don't have to worry about
Yeah.
trying to produce the best add-ons or whatever, right? With that said, though, I actually think the real frustration would probably not be with those guilds. Maybe some players in those guilds, but not the guild itself. I think the frustration would be a lot of the player base, right? I think they're just so accustomed to their add-ons, and that's what
Yeah.
Blizzard faces, right? Is like, and back to that original question, and we'll wrap up on the topic here, but that original question of like, is this dance that they're doing of like back and forth of Blizzard giving some leeway and then players going too far with that leeway and then Blizzard having to rework things, is that dance less fun than just not having add-ons at all? And right now, I think we're early in that dance, so it's
Yeah, I
hard to
don't know.
tell. But what if we give it like 2 more seasons or a whole expansion, right? Do we hit a point where like, oh, this dance kind of sucks, and every season I really hate having to like rebuild my UI and find new
Mhm.
add-ons and like, right? Because there's one thing where it's like, oh, hey, add-ons exist, and I've used the same add-ons for the last 40 years, right? Like I set it up, and it is
Yeah.
what
Oh
it is,
yeah.
and I don't think
Yeah.
about it, right? Versus like, oh yeah, every season when Blizzard does their changes and stuff, trying to stop whatever the newest add-on is, I have to like rebuild my
Yeah.
whole like UI again, right?
That's true.
Yeah, right. So that kind of becomes the question of like, at that point, that becomes super unfun. So does Blizzard then just say, you know what, nuke them all, or just give them back entirely, right? Open doors again, just like it used to be in the War Within and prior. But if you're listening, I think Chick and I have kind of said all that we can say on that topic without just going back and forth. I want to know from you though. Leave a comment. Let us know. Like, what do you think the answer is? Do you think Blizzard's almost there, where they've almost unlocked the secret to it, and we're about to see a perfect balance of
secret.
add-ons, right? Do you think that Blizzard just needs to nuke them entirely, and that the game has sucked ever since add-ons were first added to WoW when it launched? Or,
Whoa.
or do you think that, you know what, Blizzard needs to just give up this crusade, open up the doors to add-ons, and in fact, not only should they have add-ons, they should actually have add-ons for your add-ons, right? Let me know. Like, let me know in the comments. What do you think the
Add-ons
answer is?
for
Because
your
I think
add-ons.
sometimes our listeners bring perspectives to me that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And I think it's really cool, just the
Add-ons for
viewpoints
your
that people bring. So we'll hit on a couple smaller topics real fast, Chicken, before we move on to our listener questions, because we got a good handful of
Sounds
listener
good to
questions.
me.
But pet battles are kind of back, but not back.
I don't know what that means.
So going into midnight, you know that Blizzard was kind of winding down the pet battle system, right? They're still adding pets in. Pet battling still exists, but a lot of the new pets that they added in midnight do not have any combat capabilities for pet battling. Blizzard seems to be on record to say that like it's just not a system people are engaging with enough for them to justify having staff focus on that. Which that's fair, right? Like,
Interesting.
right at some
That makes a
point,
lot of sense.
right at some point, Blizzard can only add new systems to the game by removing old systems, right? That's just the nature
agree.
of it, right?
Yep.
They don't
Yep.
have an infinite number of staff on
Oh
board,
yeah.
right, to do
Yeah.
that. What's weird though is it's still in the rotation of weekly events. So we still have a pet battle weekly event, and that feels a little weird having that exist when we know they're trying to wind it down.
Yeah, it does feel
Right? Maybe we'll
strange.
just see it for this expansion, they'll be gone. Maybe Blizzard will say, no, pet battling still exists, it's there, and if it's there and it exists, we'll still encourage people to do it. We just can't put the time in to like tuning all these pets and putting all this work in when it really doesn't mean anything. There's also a part of me. There's a part of me. Maybe this, and by the way, this was not originally planned for the conversation, but I would like to have this conversation. I just thought of it now. Is this? Ooh, this will upset. Is this a good use of AI? And what I mean,
Pet battling?
well, let me explain. Right? I know we don't like AI. I say we don't. I know a lot of people don't.
We don't.
I know a lot of people don't like AI when it comes to like the art department of things, right? The artistic element of things, right? That's fair.
Sure.
And there's definitely a crusade against AI in video game development right now.
Oh yeah. There's
That
a
like
huge one.
almost just like it's almost like a witch hunt at times, where it doesn't matter what the context is, right? It'll be like, oh yeah, they used AI for like a general rough sketch of something somebody came up with.
Yeah, people
before,
don't like
right?
AI.
However, here's my question, and maybe it could have just been a randomizer. It doesn't even have to be truly AI, right? Could be a lot simpler than that. It probably doesn't need all that brain processing power to do what I'm about to suggest. But how hard would it have been for Blizzard when they added these new pets in, right? To say, hey, we designed all these new pets that you can collect, but we can no longer justify having somebody on staff to sit there and tune them. So the two options we have is we just get rid of the system altogether. Like, hey, if you love pet battling and you want more of it, screw you. We just can't. We just can't do that. Or, right? And I say screw you not because Blizzard's being mean about it, because I think if somebody argues against me on what I'm about to say, I think they're kind of saying that. So argue against me at your own free will, I guess. But what if the alternative was like Blizzard said, hey, look, pet battling's not really this like highly involved system. We don't really want to spend all the time to like personally sort over it, but we know people like it. We know it's been around. So we're actually just going to like set up a system where when we create all the pet designs for that season or that expansion, we just drop them in to like an AI spreadsheet, and it just comes up with the stats for everything and the attack patterns, like the attack abilities that pet can have. And it just sets that up and creates that, and then we just have to input that into the system, right? Just do a simple manual check over it and drop it in, right? You will lose a little bit of that personal touch of like looking over the pets and making sure everything really feels perfect. But it at least allows the system to continue existing, right? You're not really doing anything artistic. You're just kind of replacing the manual labor of sitting there figuring out what numbers work best. And maybe that would really upset somebody. Maybe somebody would be like, no, I used to do that. That used to be my job, and it was my passion in life, and it was the only thing that ever mattered to me. And I divorced my 7 wives just to focus more time on tuning pet battling. And that's fair. That's fair. But would you just prefer that the whole system goes away entirely? So I don't know. This wasn't meant to be a conversation we were going to have, but it is a fascinating conversation.
I mean, I think it's a pretty good idea, to be honest.
Yeah. But also, like, what if they do that and then it ends up all over X, the Everything app? Like, hey, Blizzard used AI in World of Warcraft. You got to stop playing it now. But the AI was just like a spreadsheet of, what attacks and stats go to pets in a system almost no one uses, right?
That's like the most subpar like AI system ever.
Yeah.
But someone will be upset about it. I guarantee you. Wild data centers, boom,
right?
They're done.
Which by the way, and back to what I said earlier, right? Like if you're upset about that and you're trying to cancel WoW, what you're really saying is like, I hate this concept so much that I actually want other people to have a less enjoyable experience in the game, just so I can like feel like I've done like my duty to civilization or whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm never.
Maybe I'm being harsh. I don't know.
No, I don't think you're being like terribly harsh, but like I think pet battles is seen as like one of those things of like. WoW just trying like I don't want to say them trying too hard, but like almost them trying too hard.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, oh, like we're trying to like add like Pokemon-esque like into WoW, and people are like, like that's cool and all, but like it's not necessary.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, there's probably people that really like it, and it's hey, if we're gonna use
and
like
the pets still exist, they're still adding pets, right? So the only question is the battle system.
Like it wouldn't be that hard for them to do.
And there's a line.
Kind of AI system.
There's a line, right? Like if Blizzard came along and was like, yo, we're using AI to build out the talent trees for every spec. Okay, hold up, right. Like because some of that you want a creative element in that, right? Like you want it to be creative. You're like, no, we want because we don't want an AI that just regurgitates, right? We want a system that like innovates and is creative in how it does it and comes up with ideas that are fresh and new. And and don't just feel like recycled from previous. But with the pet battling thing, it's just kind of like, hey, the moves all exist. The stats are stats, right? Just it's almost random.
It's not a hard system,
right?
No.
It's like it's more like a polished randomness of like.
Yeah, it's
right?
not a hard system.
Yeah,
no.
It's just different. It's just different.
Although AI for talent trees, hey, they bring back Tombstone. Whew.
That's true, dude.
I'd be for it.
Yeah, I miss Tombstone. I miss the whole like. Anyways, I don't know. Blood Decay's fine. There's elements. There's elements I miss. We have a buff coming this week as well, so I'll look forward to that.
It's not.
I mean, it's just a little bit. Some auto attack damage, I guess, increased. A little better death strike. The last thing that we'll talk about, and this is probably going to be maybe a 2-3 hour long conversation that we'll have. So feel free to hang with us the whole time, or you can skip ahead 2 or 3 hours. But there's a Fanta promo going on, so you can get like housing.
Yeah, there's a what promo?
Fanta, the drink.
Fanta?
I don't know, dude. I said Fanta the other day, and my wife corrected me, so I don't know what's correct.
Your wife's
I think
crazy.
they say Fanta on the commercials. But you can get I think 3 different dyeable liquid bottles, like as housing decor.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
So it's like they're like glass bottles with like liquid in different shapes in them, but you can dye them different colors. So you could like make the liquid whatever color you want, which is cool. There's like an ice chest housing decor I can get, and a like one of those like
housing decor, give it to me.
rocket things, in the Fanta color, I guess. But yeah, that's
Fanta.
I don't know. I love these little crossovers. Not much to say about it, but I love them. They're cool.
Yeah, but who likes Fanta? No offense.
It's not terrible.
No,
orange.
stop.
Dude, Kel, dude. You know who loves orange soda, bro?
You.
Kel loves orange soda.
Who?
Never mind. That's a reference that some of. If you get that reference, please let me know on Discord. Please.
Oh my gosh,
please.
I don't get that reference at all.
Please let me know. All right. Anyways, with that said, we got plenty of listener questions. We're probably gonna try and speed through them because I'm running out of steam. But we got a question coming in from Wargramps.
Wargramps,
one of my favorites. I always gotta say that. But Wargramps said, "Hello, Swag and Chicken. I have a question.
Hello.
Now that we are really into midnight, is it me or does it seem like Xal'atath has been pushed into a back burner? We dove deep into the Eretor story with his parents, and of course the Heronir, but very little Zal. Do you think she's just sitting back and biding her time and will make another grand entrance?" Chicken, I can take this question. Yeah, I think they are trying to give Xal'atath some space. It felt like all throughout the War Within, she was taunting us at every corner. And that was good.
Yeah.
That was good. That was necessary. We really needed to ramp up, who Xal'atath was and what was going on. And all of Koresh was super Xal'atath focused, right? So it makes sense that, we tag along with Xal'atath, or she tags along with us throughout Koresh. And then all of a sudden she's off doing her own thing and not bothering with us one bit, right? That feels good. There's also that cinematic we got that kind of showed a young childlike, maybe childish Xal'atath. So she was a mortal creature of some kind before being consumed by the void. So Blizzard created a new race that we know nothing about other than that Xal'atath was a being of that race before being consumed by the void. So that implies that there's plenty more story regarding Xal'atath that we just have not gotten yet. We may never get more context about that race, but it seems like a weird thing for Blizzard to bring up and have to create and then never mention again. So I do suspect we're gonna get plenty more about Xal'atath. I like a good dragged out villain, but also it would feel weird if we were just nonstop with Xal'atath all the time. I think they've been kind of amping up that one Amani troll guy as a potential future villain as well. So we kind of have a little bit going on there. Don't forget Iridikron, right? There is something going on with Iridikron and Xal'atath. They might not be working together anymore at all, but I suspect whatever Xal'atath is doing will benefit Iridikron in the long run. I know he has a vendetta against the Titans.
I totally agree.
If you don't remember Iridikron, Chicken, he was the other dragon.
He's the dragon. Yeah, he's the dragon. Whew.
Yep. So anyways, I think we're going to get plenty more Zaltath. Again, the raid we just got had plenty. We just saw her in a beautiful cinematic when you complete the raid. If you haven't seen that yet, I would encourage you to go see that. I don't want to talk too much about it because
don't spoil it for me.
Even though I don't mind spoilers, this one's kind of a big one.
Yeah, you can't spoil it.
A character pops back in that I think will be exciting.
Oh man. Oh.
Anyways,
character.
Moving on to the next question. We have 2 questions from Tiger Ace Ray. He actually asked how we feel about the current state of Race to World First. And in response to that question, listen to the first half of this podcast where we talk about Race to World First. But his second question, he says, I'm looking at the April 1st patch notes for our listeners. Every year on April Fools, both Blizzard themselves and Wowhead put out these like hilarious comedic April Fool's Day patch notes. They're fantastic. But then he says that they mentioned roleplay instances and that he feels like they actually have some potential. What would you think about adding something similar, but it's actually more along the lines of a guild/community feature for a D&D type adventure set in Azeroth? Something that could be planned out as a guild event. I think that would help give another cool aspect to guilds that would encourage socializing. But just in a different way than typical content like dungeons, raids, PvP, etc. So yeah, so I can kind of explain a little bit. So in the patch notes, in the comedic patch notes, they said that they were adding in, and I don't remember if it was from Blizzard or from Wowhead for these ones, but they're like, oh, we are adding new roleplay instances, right? So they're gonna add in like 20-man scalable up to 30-man instances where you get to go in and role play fighting against like a villain of some kind. They're gonna call them bosses, right? And so they'll be controlled by the computer. There'll be NPC bosses that you and your friends can fight. Basically, like every one they explained, including even like PvP role play, was all just normal content, right? Like it was just a way of calling it. It was just raid and dungeons. There was no real role play to it other than like what we're really doing, right? It's like, oh, we're all going in to fight this boss, right? So that was the joke. The joke of it was that. However, what he's kind of asking is like, wouldn't it be cool though to truly have these like role play instances? That is something I've been hearing from the roleplay community, that they would like to have the ability to go into these instance content without anything spawned, right? And I think that could be doable. I see no reason why Blizzard can't do that. Why they can't be like, oh hey, you can actually just set your dungeon difficulty to RP or clear, right? And it's just like you go in and there's nothing there. It just allows you to walk around and explore it, or you and a bunch of people go in and role play something in there. To fully answer your question, Tiger, there actually is like a pretty robust role play community within WoW. And so like, yeah, that's content that they would do, right? I mean, they already are doing that. They just don't really have access to these dungeons or raids unless they go in and clear them out ahead of time and then do a lockout to them. Which is a little obnoxious. All right, question from Draga. And Chicken, this one probably a little bit more up your alley than mine, so I'll kind of go through the question and let you answer it. It says, question for the pod. I do not consider myself a gamer, but I love WoW. It is typically the only game I ever play. My current gaming setup is an old Lenovo business laptop with all the video quality settings turned all the way down in WoW.
Shout out to Lenovo.
Lenovo, yeah. It actually runs fine, but I've been debating finally getting a gaming PC so I can enjoy the game more. Since this is my only game, I don't need something top of the line. Also, I need it to be a laptop. I'm looking forward to something that will allow me to crank up the quality settings in WoW to at least mid. Isn't extremely heavy, but is decent quality and will last for 4 to 5 years. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, without knowing like a true price point of kind of like what you're looking for, and it being a laptop makes it a little bit harder. But anything with like, and it doesn't have to be like a lower end graphics card, but it definitely doesn't have to be the newest 50 series NVIDIA stuff. Like it can definitely be like a 40 series.
Oh yeah,
like
40
I'm pretty
series
sure I
would
still
do fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, and like I still use a 30 series, and I
use a 20
definitely
series.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody got a 50 series they're trying to get rid of? I need to do some PC upgrades.
Yeah, well, that RAM though. That RAM though.
I know.
But
Anybody got some DDR5 RAM that they're trying to get rid of?
yeah, honestly. The good thing about getting a laptop is laptop RAM actually isn't as expensive as like desktop RAM just
Mm.
because of like how it's made.
Mm.
It's weird, but like obviously you're not gonna like pop RAM out of a laptop very often unless it's like a really
Yeah.
custom laptop. But yeah, without knowing like a lot, like I wouldn't go with anything that's like you don't need like a fancy like OLED display or like like 200 like 240 hertz. Like that's a bit overkill.
Yeah.
Anything that's got like a decent graphics card, like I said, 30 or 40 series is probably fine. A good GPU, or not a good GPU, a good CPU, and then like some RAM and an SSD is probably fine. Like it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like I'm pretty sure I should have pulled up the specs of my gaming laptop. I know it has a 30 series. I think it has a 3060 Ti possibly,
Yeah.
and like it runs WoW like perfectly.
Oh yeah. The weird thing about WoW 2 is WoW's an old game, but
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah, it
also
is.
still like people will make the assumption that WoW still runs off the exact same engine that it started with back in Classic. That is just not true. It is
Yeah, no,
right.
it's yeah.
What's the old question, the ship of Theseus or whatever, right? Like where it's like, oh, if you replace every part, is it still the same thing? And
Yeah.
that's almost the WoW engine, where it's just been built on and built on and built on and modified and modified and modified. That like it, it just is a different thing, right? Totally.
Yeah.
However, there still are like quirks that exist because of how old the original engine was that they've built off of. One of those just being that it isn't multi-threaded, right? So like WoW is really like a single core dependent processing.
Yeah.
And so just kind of keep an eye out for that. That like it's not with WoW, it's not really about how many cores you have, just having good, strong cores, powerful cores
Yeah.
in your CPU. If you're getting a pretty modern CPU though, you're probably not going to find any problems.
No, you won't have any problem.
I'm running an older Ryzen 7, I think, in my PC. Again, I haven't updated my PC probably in like 4 years. I've updated my cooling system in my PC because it was causing problems, and my power supply. But my actual like GPU and CPU I haven't updated in like 4-5 years. It desperately needs it. And I only really encounter problems right now when I'm like, I think recently I've started encountering some problems in Raid and I've started having to like lower settings. But otherwise, like if I'm streaming and I'm sitting in Silvermoon, I'll have some issues. So, but again, I'm also live streaming, right? I'm encoding at the exact same time. So that's a bugger, right? That is a pain in the butt. So yeah, as Chicken said, right? Like you actually won't have too difficult of a time. And Draga, don't be afraid too in our Discord to let us know what that budget is, because I bet you that the members of our Discord would give you some awesome recommendations. If you're like, hey, this is my budget, I want something that like is just gonna kick butt at World of Warcraft. They'll probably help you find the best ones. I think Micro Center often has some really good. Recently, I've been seeing some really good deals that they've been doing. But that also might just be because I've been looking at like bundles of RAM and motherboards, so that might be unrelated.
Yeah, weirdly enough, like this is kind of a cap. Well, no, it's not kind of a cap. This is kind of a low key, not a bad place to look. Facebook Marketplace.
Oh,
it's not terrible. Like definitely do your research and like ask questions, but that's actually where we got our gaming laptop. And we've had it probably for at least 4 or 5 years, and we don't use it like on the regular, but like it still functions like really good, like it's brand new.
Yeah, I'm hesitant about buying used parts sometimes, like used GPUs, especially back during like the Bitcoin mining.
I wouldn't buy like
the
used
Bitcoin
parts,
mining
no.
like days, dude. Like people were like reselling GPUs for cheap because they like basically destroyed them. Right. And that was a little sketchy. But things like a laptop, especially like a full gaming system, A lot of times you'll
Yeah.
find people like build them, they buy them, because they think that it's absolutely what they need, and then they realize they actually like don't enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Dude,
Right,
100% a gaming laptop. Yep,
right.
people buy them and they're like, oh, well, I actually used it for like 2 months and then I decided I wanted to get a desktop instead. Like 100%.
Oh yeah, happens all the time.
Yeah.
So that would be, again, Facebook Marketplace. My
Yeah.
wife makes fun of me because I'm browsing Facebook Marketplace like all the time. Granted, I just
Oh
look at
my
guitars. Dude,
gosh,
I just
brother.
look at guitars, dude, all day long. I just scroll,
Brother.
look at guitars, man.
Anyway.
It's my addiction. All right, we got 2 more questions. We're gonna try and get through them today. Question from Sovi. So last episode, I believe it was last episode. Recently, Sovi asked us if we could live in any zone in the Eastern Kingdoms, which would you live in? This time, though, he's asking if you could live in any zone in Kalimdor, which would you live in? Chicken, last time I had you open up the map to the Eastern Kingdoms. If you want to, you're welcome to open up the map
Bro,
now.
I'm definitely going to have to look it up now because I don't spend a lot of time on Kalimdor, but I know there is like, there's the place that they did all the, like that like 20th anniversary stuff, like that desert.
Oh, you're talking about Tenaris, yeah.
Yeah. That zone was really cool. I liked all the deserty area. Yep.
Dude, the desert area is pretty sick. Man, I feel like Kalimdor is almost harder for me to pick than Eastern Kingdom was, which is weird
good places.
because Eastern Kingdoms feels like it was more a little relaxing at times. And what makes my choice always really difficult too is that I think for a lot of people just be like, oh, this zone is beautiful. I would love to live in this zone. But I have this weird problem where I start to think about it and then go, yo, I would absolutely die. Like something's going to kill me there, right? So I have this problem where like part of me is like, oh, what zone is really cool and beautiful and like wonderful? But then also like, yo, would I get absolutely murdered there? Like, am I going to die? Like there's that one zone in Kalimdor. I'm like blanking on the name right now, but she's got a bunch of like dinos in it, right? I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. I'm trying to pull up like a map that's like labeled, but I can't find a map that's labeled on Google. I don't have it open on my computer, right? Like, but like, dude, I'm gonna get murked by a bunch of dinos. Like, no way am I surviving that. So I have to like really think about it and like try and figure out which zone I could like actually survive in if I had to survive in the zone. Dude, but why can't I just find like a full-size map? Open image in new tab. Does this work? Okay. By the way, the zone I was thinking of, I can't even find. Whatever. I give up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I give up on that. But anyways, if I had to pick a spot, Mulgore, low-key, kind of goated, dude. Mulgore would be so relaxing. But then Mulgore might get boring because there's just like nothing. There's just like nothing there at all. I definitely don't want places like Desolace or Duratar or the Barrens. Even though I have cool memories there, they're kind of like, I don't know, they just seem like miserable places. Stone Talon has some cool spots that like it's a beautiful area. But if I like really had to pick, dude, pre-burning Teldrassil would have been goated. Like living on top of that tree would have been absolutely a goated pick. So that probably would be my choice is pre-burning Teldrassil. Post burning Teldrassil, dude, I would have not made it off of there. So I wouldn't have a pick because I'd be dead. But pre-burning Teldrassil, that's my spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. And then last question coming in from King Carlito 035. He says, hello, love the podcast. I listen to it every Monday on my way to work. Dude, I love that, bro. Thank you. Question for you. What is the best way to set up macros? I have no idea on how to begin with them. I feel like it would help me play the game better. Thank you. So I think Chicken's probably going to be able to give you much better answers than I can give you. I don't think I utilize macros nearly as well as maybe other players would. However, and I believe Chicken may have even posted something on Discord as well. He'll probably mention that. I mostly use my macros for like small, simple things. The only one I'm using currently that I can really think of, and again, I think I underutilize them a lot, is I have a macro setup that allows me to just drop my death and decay with a single click without having to like hit a button and then click again to decide where to drop it. It just drops it wherever my mouse is at that moment, which is really convenient sometimes and really inconvenient other times because you kind of have to just instinctually know how far you can put it. And there are occasions where I'm like, oh, drop it right here, and then I'm like 4 feet too short. I'm like, oh, dang it, my bad. But yeah, so Chicken, you probably know a good bit more about macros maybe than I would.
To be honest, I probably know just like a little bit more. Just because like the coding behind it is a little interesting. There's not always like a ton of great coding to stuff like this. I do use a lot of the same ones that you do. The hey, drop it right at your feet. But then there's a lot of other ones that people don't necessarily know about. It you know, for the most part, it's mostly around like openers and doing things like that you'll find like a lot of DPS use. Like there was one for Unholy back in the day that would kind of just like pop every cooldown like right at the beginning of like a raid fight, and then you kind of just go into your actual like natural rotation, right? And that's great. And there's one that I made for the incorporeals when you're on Unholy, because you have to dismiss your pet and then you control undead.
Oh yeah,
so that was
dude,
actually super useful. There's things like that, but I actually threw something in the Discord. Like I found it earlier today, and it just shows like a ton of good macros for each individual class. Like there's a lot for just general attacking. You know, there's some easy cooldowns for literally every single class, and then there's some shared ones with, you know, removing curses and doing things like that. So
nice.
Those should be hopefully helpful. And I dumped them in the WoW help page on the Discord. So if you're in the Discord, you can see those. And actually, some of these are kind of neat. Like I'll most likely throw some of these in on mine. And then some of them are just kind of like, you know, PvP ones where it makes sense to do them in arenas and stuff like that. But I'm honestly low key, I'll probably throw some of these on mine.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I feel like I need to get more. Basically, macros allow you to get a little more information or add a little ease to how you use your rotations and how you attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's always one step at a time, right? How you just pick up that next skill, that next skill, that next skill. Which brings us to today's sponsor, our Patreon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Listen, you got a freebie. You got to get all the listener questions in without even hearing about our Patreon. And that's because I'm forgetful. But what I won't forget is to remind you that our Patreon is what keeps this podcast up and going. We could not do it without you. We really could not. So we just want to thank our Patreon supporters. You guys mean the world to us. I love seeing when you chat on our Discord with that Patreon badge next to your name. It means a lot. Next week, we are recording with a guest. We're pretty excited about this guest, and it's going to be awesome. But that will be a live recording for our Patreon listeners to join in and listen in on Ask Questions Live through our Discord. So that's something that we get excited about, that we get to do. And otherwise, it has been absolutely awesome recording with you all this week. Chick and I, we will see you next week. For another fantastic episode. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we quit. Maybe 84 episodes is all we need to do.
Whoa.
You won't know until next Monday if I release the episode on time. See you.